Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, Hemp Cannabis Foundation, or THCF, and its affiliated political committee, the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, or CRRH. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Mr. Tim Pate's here to entertain you with a few of his original songs. Don Dupay and I will be answering your calls a little bit later in the show. We have film clips from the medical marijuana gardens and from some old town hall shows, which were productions here in the city of Portland. They're kind of a debate. We'll show some of those from back in the late 90s. And just stay tuned. We're going to start out, as we always do, with a little bit of hemp news for you. But before that, as we get ready, we'll bring out the infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves. We'll be back. California. The San Diego County Board of Supervisors ridiculously voted 4-1 this week to appeal a recent California Superior Court decision rejecting the county's challenge to California's medicinal cannabis laws. Last week, California Superior Court Judge William Nevitt denied the county's lawsuit, which had argued that both Proposition 215 and the California State Medical Marijuana ID card program should be preempted by the Federal Controlled Substances Act, or federal law. In his opinion, California Judge Nevitt declared that the state's decade-old medical marijuana law is legal because it does not require conduct that violates federal law. Nevitt also rejected the plaintiff's challenge to California's 3-year-old medical ID card system, ruling that requiring the counties to issue identification cards for the purpose of identifying those whom California chooses not to arrest and prosecute for certain activities involving marijuana does not create a positive conflict with federal law, end quote. On Tuesday this week, San Diego supervisors reaffirmed in a closed session, talk about democracy, a closed session vote that they believe California's medical marijuana laws promote drug abuse and should be superseded by federal law. They intend to file an appeal immediately with California's 4th Appellate District. We strongly criticize the California San Diego County Supervisor's decision. This appeal is not about politicians seeking clarity in the law. It's about supervisors' opposition to any use of medicinal cannabis. Legal experts, including California's Legislative Council, the State Attorney General, and now a Superior Court judge, have all determined that physician-supervised medical use of marijuana is legal in the state of California. The San Diego supervisor's decision to appeal this case is an affront to their constituents and a gross waste of taxpayer dollars. San Diego supervisors, along with lawmakers from San Bernardino and Merced counties, initially filed suit in February against the state of California rather than comply with the statewide ID card system. For further discussion on this case, the County of San Diego versus the State of California is available online at the December 13th edition of Normal's Audio Stash. Our next story is from New York City. U.S. regulatory authorities have announced that they will decide this spring on whether to approve the prescription use of a cannabinoid receptor antagonist, SR 1417-16A, to be marketed by Sanofi Aventis Pharmaceuticals as a diabetes treatment and anti-obesity drug under the trade name Acomplia. In July, the selective cannabinoid blocking agent received regulatory approval in a handful of European nations as a dietary aid. Acomplia is the first cannabinoid antagonist ever to be approved for human consumption. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, will review newly published clinical data indicating that Acomplia regularly or significantly lowers blood sugar levels in humans compared to a placebo. The FDA had previously denied Sanofi permission to market Acomplia in the United States. In clinical trials, patients who take Acomplia on a daily basis lose on average 14 pounds in their first year and an additional 2.5 pounds their second year. However, published reports indicate that more than 15% of subjects who try the drug discontinue its use because of intolerable side effects, including nausea, anxiety, headaches, upper respiratory tract infections, and depression. At least one study reports a 2.7-fold increase risk of psychiatric disorders in Acomplia users. Acomplia works by blocking the natural binding of endogenous cannabinoids as well as exogenous cannabinoids such as THC from marijuana to the neuronal CB1 receptors, causing users to lose their appetites. Volunteers administered both Acomplia and cannabis in clinical trials also reported decreased feelings of euphoria and other psychological effects associated with THC. However, because the endocannabinoid receptor system is believed to be involved in the regulation of a broad range of primary biological functions, including appetite, body temperature, mood regulation, blood pressure, bone density, reproduction, learning capacity, and motor coordination, some experts are concerned that the long-term use of Acomplia may eventually contribute to a host of significant adverse health effects. The University of Colorado at Colorado Springs biology professor Robert Malamud, a PhD and physician, says, quote, CB1 receptors commonly play protective roles in minimizing the consequences of free radical-induced age-related illnesses, as well as the aging process itself. The long-term use of CB1 antagonist drugs, such as Acomplia, may turn out to be disastrous, because they may promote the illnesses that CB1 activity normally protects against, end quote. In preclinical trial, newborn mice injected with Acomplia refuse feeding and often die days after birth. Mice genetically bred to lack the CB1 receptor also suffer from numerous health defects such as cognitive decline, hypoalgesia, decreased local motor activity, and increased mortality compared to the healthy controls. At least one published case study also reports that daily use of the drug may have triggered neurological symptoms of multiple sclerosis in a volunteer with no known history of the disease. According to Sanofi, the pharmaceutical company, their spokesperson, the FDA will make its determination by April 26th. Sanofi Aventis is the third largest pharmaceutical company in the world. Our last story tonight is also from New York City. Cocaine-dependent patients are more likely to complete their drug treatment if they use cannabis intermittently, according to clinical trial data to be published in the American Journal of Drug and Alcohol Abuse. Investigators at the New York State Psychiatric Institute and Columbia University assessed the effects of marijuana smoking on treatment retention in a clinical trial of 90 subjects enrolled in a 14-week outpatient program for cocaine dependence and ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Researchers reported that those volunteers who used moderate amounts of cannabis during treatment were more likely to complete the program than were abstainers and or subjects who used cannabis chronically. At least 14 retention rates were at week 14, retention rates were 24% among abstainers, 57% among intermittent to moderate users, and 39% among heavy, consistent users, the investigators found. They noted that similar results have also been reported among subjects seeking treatment for opiate dependence. Cannabis use also was associated with higher rates of abstinence among cocaine users. Among those subjects in the study who reported using cannabis intermittently, 39% achieved 2 or more weeks of abstinence from cocaine, compared to only 26% of the subjects who reported not using cannabis during the treatment. This study is the first to assess the use of cannabis on treatment outcomes in patients diagnosed with cocaine dependence, the investigators said. The full text of the study, concurrent cannabis use during treatment for ADHD and cocaine dependence, effects on the outcome, will appear in the American Journal of Drug and Alcohol Abuse. That's the end of our Hemp News segment tonight. We have a song here by Mr. Tim Pate and a video clip, and we'll be back to take your phone calls in just a moment. Thanks for watching. Here we go.
I am. I was just thinking about that last thing that you read, though. It seems to me that just proves that marijuana is a gateway drug. because it's a gateway to getting off of cocaine and other drugs. So true.
To help people who were addicted to opiates and chloroform and cocaine.
It's good that they're finally proving that on different levels, as you know, if we didn't already know that for a long time.
Understanding some of the physiology of the brain.
That's true. I didn't mean to. Well, I had to say that. It struck me as funny. This next song I'm going to do, I wrote in 1975, and I actually won the largest talent show in the state of Oklahoma with this back in '77. Still have the trophy at home.
All right.
It was about one night I was sitting in a Denny's restaurant in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was watching the waitresses go through their rounds, and this song just hit me that night. I went home and wrote it and played it for my dad the next morning, and it hasn't changed a lick since. So it's called Denny's at Midnight.
Denny's at Midnight.
Working till late in the Denny's from hell, trying to make dollars stretch long. The pay isn't great and the hours are late, but the coffee sure does stay strong. You know, if I tried to make up my mind to leave or whether to stay, well, I'd probably work till the day that I die, just to watch the games people play. The man at the bar sits and lights a cigar as the waitress walks around the floor. He tells her a joke and she forces a laugh, even though she's heard it before. And the busboy stops to pick up the tip as he stacks his plates on his tray. Forgive me, it's live TV. I messed up the song. Yes, I did.
Live music's better.
Live music's better. I have never done that on live TV before. But now, what should I do? Start again, or
I don't know.
I don't either. Man. It's my song. It's live TV, folks. You know, I think I'm going to start this one over.
All right.
Just for the hell of it.
One
if
more
you don't
time.
mind.
With
Thank
feeling.
you. One more time. Denny's at Midnight. We're working till late in the Denny's from hell, trying to make dollars stretch long. The pay isn't great and the hours are late, but the coffee sure does taste strong. You know, if I tried to make up my mind to leave or whether to stay, well, I'd probably work till the day that I die, just to watch the games people play. And the man at the bar sits and lights a cigar as the waitress walks round the floor. He tells her a joke and she forces a laugh, even though she's heard it before. Sometimes she gets tired of the constant harassment the drunks and the hustlers give, but she knows if she quits, the money would too. It's the only way she knows how to live. And the busboy, he stops to pick up a tip as he stacks the plates on his tray. And he looks out the window for the 10,000th time to watch the dawning of day. And the cook looks around and checks all his orders to see if everything's straight. And he wonders if time will be kind to his life, but he knows it's already too late. Yes, time goes by slowly in the Denny's at midnight when you've been on your feet since sundown. But the streets are so peaceful that you just can't help thinking that life has stopped in this town. And rest is important, and I know I need it all. It's time to do it tonight. Everyone here knows I need a vacation, and the rest of it all was right. Yes, everyone here knows I need a vacation, and the rest of them know that it's true. Live audience, live TV, live all of that, you know.
Yeah, and a live crew. And I want to welcome our audience out there back, Cannabis Common Sense. How are you doing this week, Don?
Fine, Paul. I'm back from vacation with my Aloha shirt on, and
All right, you have a good time cruising there through the
I had
islands?
a wonderful time. We'll talk about it a little bit.
Okay, good. Yeah, we are taking your phone calls tonight, so if you're watching on Friday, the 15th of December, then you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We had a pretty good time last weekend at the Oregon Normal Cannabis Awards, and I was an unexpected shocked winner of a couple of bows here. Now, these bows aren't for first place. There was somebody else that won first, second, and third. But for the ones that didn't win first, second, or third place, these are the runner-up bows. And I actually won one for a train wreck plant. This one is for the best aroma. This one's for best taste. So it's kind of like being third, fourth, or something like that. There they are.
Best aroma and best taste.
Best aroma and best taste. Those are a couple of good ones to win. You know, it was good aroma, good taste, and that's what we can say from the Oregon Medical Cannabis Gardens. We saw a little bit of that in the background as you were playing there, Tim.
Oh, good.
We had one of our RNs, Pat Kretschmer, who's worked a little bit at our clinic as well, came in second overall, and then Chris Iverson, who helps with our classes, has been here on the show. He won a ribbon for best potency. So
I think they were all pretty good myself.
I think they were.
I
didn't judge them. I didn't get to try all the different kinds or anything.
Yeah.
But I just turned some in. So if you're out there and you want to call and talk to us tonight, call 503-288-4448. And we do have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello?
Hi, is this me?
Hi. It's you.
It's you.
Hi. Gentlemen, I have three stories about use of marijuana for medical purposes. Two of these incidents were one was diagnosed as fatal and one was eventually fatal. And the third is mine for pain. The first was back in the late 90s. A neighbor of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer returning for the third time. She was in her late 30s and had never smoked. And they started her on chemo, and they tried the synthetic, and it didn't help with the nausea. And finally one of her friends, not me, I wish I could say it was me, got her to smoke, and it helped, and we got her to eat. And, of course, with that many reoccurrences, we lost her. But the other, unfortunately, is about my son, who 6 months ago was diagnosed with an almost fatal brain cancer.
Oh, no.
You usually get at least a year with this. He got 6 weeks. But he was actually a grower and out of state and a chronic. But the way the cancer was spreading, although they did do brain surgery and the chemo killed him, we have reason to believe, serious reason to believe, that his chronic use actually suppressed the inflammation. The inflammation is what kills you. It eventually pressed in his brain stem. But we were pretty sure he actually had more time from use. Now, my background is I'm not a practicing research scientist. I'm actually a writer, but
Sure.
I was trained as a research scientist at the University of Illinois, did an independent undergraduate study under a doctorate for a project on Alzheimer's. He actually took a Guggenheim Fellowship, so I am well trained. I have a good science background. and my son's wife was a nurse, and we delved hard and heavy into doing research to try and help and save him. But we are certain that his life was actually extended, and that cannabis provided palliative care.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when they took Viagra off the market, my lower back exploded literally, and left a fragment on my S1 root nerve, which leads to your leg. As a result, I had some scarring on that nerve, and am a chronic pain person. I will be on narcotics and anti-inflammatories for life. But one of the things I found after all this was, guess what helps with the pain?
Cannabis.
You got it.
You taking it orally, or are you smoking, or vaporizing?
I wouldn't know how to administer orally. I do small amounts, a couple of on the little tiny pipes. Does it for a number of hours. I actually was unable to sit in a chair for over a year, and I actually had a week where I was unable to walk because of what had happened to the nerve. So, cannabis is fun, I guess, no doubt about that. But seriously, there are, just from my life experiences, and I got to know that other people have life experiences where they've had friends, acquaintances, or loved ones where, no man is an island. It doesn't happen alone. Where marijuana, is a pharmaceutical that can help. And no, the synthetic is not the same.
Right.
So I just wanted to get that testimony out there and make some folks aware that some serious people with serious minds and serious medical needs can really benefit from this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. My condolences about your son's passing there.
Thank you guys for running this show. I really appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
Thank you.
Wild horses couldn't drag us away, and a few have tried.
And would you say hi to Santa Claus for me when you see him?
Okay, we will.
I saw Santa Claus over in Amsterdam.
Oh, really?
I did.
All right. Well, you got to say hi to him next
He's
time.
on his way.
Thanks for your call there. I would also recommend that you try cannabis orally. And if you don't know how to try cannabis orally, we have some recipes on our website that are in our forums, which are patient only. You've got to get a password from our office to be able to get into those patient only forums. But we have some recipes for tincture and some other things that oil extracts, and how to make little cannabis capsules out of leaf that work incredibly well for pain and spasms. I think that could help you in addition to smoking for pain flare-ups. But you might want to take a look at that or contact our office. They're at 503-235-4606 if you're a patient and you'd like to get the password to get in there. Once you get into the forums, then you have to create your own account. So you have two passwords, but to just enter it, because we want to make it a patient-only forum, you have to get that password to get in. But anyway, if you're out there and you're watching tonight, the 15th of December, you can call us and ask Don or I a question, even Tim Pate over here at 503-288-4448. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, my name is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
I've been listening to your show for the past month, and last week there was a man talking about he was an IV drug user and how marijuana had helped him, and the previous week they were talking about methadone. Mm-hmm. My particular situation is I've been clean off of IV drugs. I've been on the methadone, and I'm detoxing. And I had to quit the marijuana because they were drug testing me, and they were going to get me in trouble. And I have had nausea, insomnia, and just muscle spasms since I've been going down. Mm-hmm. And the only thing...
Have you ever had a medical marijuana permit?
No. And I'm only 24 years old, but I started using stuff when I was really young, Mm-hmm. And now I'm trying to get off of the methadone, and I just...
Sure.
It's just horrible. It's just... And that's the only thing, I started using the marijuana, and that got me off of the bad stuff.
Well, the nausea and the other effects you're having, if you can document those in your medical chart, could qualify you for medical marijuana while you're in that period. I don't know if you have any other underlying conditions that might qualify.
Well, I do have hepatitis C,
Yeah.
which I haven't had any like I haven't had any jaundice or anything, but I just
Well,
have been,
you want to start using medical marijuana before you get jaundice. Let me tell you that, because once jaundice sets in, there's other damage that's irreversible.
Yeah,
They can slow the progression by allowing you to keep a good appetite.
That's what I thought, that it would, and it would probably help me. I've just been having, and I'm trying to get off the methadone, and I just don't want to be, I would rather be a
you definitely qualify for a medical marijuana permit. I know, Don, you know a lot of people who quit methadone and been on it.
Methadone is a horror, and it's more
yeah.
of a horror than you're going to realize, and marijuana will definitely help you.
Yeah.
These clinics have this, they don't want you to use marijuana because they're the federal things, but if you have a medical permit, most methadone clinics will allow you to use marijuana. If they don't, they should get sued, because they are, after all, state corporations, and state corporations have to obey state law, and state law says marijuana is medicine for you. So.
Yeah,
And you can definitely
just
qualify
switched
with
to a new
those
one
conditions.
That does that. The old one, they straight up told me that there was no way. There was no way. I just switched to a new private clinic.
Okay.
But I was going through one that was a big one that just said, no way, absolutely not. We'll turn you in. So.
Okay, well, you definitely qualify, and now I'm going to give not just you, but all of our viewers out there across the western United States the information on how to get hold of doctors. There are doctors across the state of California, here in Oregon, in Washington, in Colorado, and Hawaii, who can help patients who have some of these conditions and others that will pop up there in a minute, get a medical marijuana permit in those states. So here in Portland, if you need a referral for a physician, they can help you get medical marijuana. You want to call 503-235-4606, that number that just popped up there on your screen. It's 503-235-4606. If you're up in Seattle, the Seattle number is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. If you're watching this show in Denver, Colorado, it runs every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. on cable channel 57 there in Denver, Colorado. Then you can call our Denver office at 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. And if you're outside of those metropolitan areas, but anywhere in Oregon, Washington, California, Colorado, or Hawaii, then you can call our toll-free number at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. We also have a lot of information on our website you might want to take a look at. You can access that right now through www.hemp.org. That's www.hemp.org. And so there's all that information. There's
and our new forum, our new forum is up and running and it's free.
Yep, the forums are up and running and they're free, and we just had our second round of classes. You're one of the instructors there, and I understand those went wonderfully.
Went well, and we're going to be doing them again in January for people who want to know how to grow, how to make medical grade hash. We'll be teaching those classes again in January.
Yeah, and each month thereafter. Probably spreading them out and doing them a little bit more often. We have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello.
Hello, caller.
Yes. I would like to know if you could give me some information on medical marijuana laws in Texas.
There are no laws in Texas currently. You know, I was born and raised in Texas. I lived there till I was 15. And they have some of the strictest laws in the country. And there have been some moves in the Texas legislature to have a medical marijuana law heard and passed. However, hasn't got a hearing in the Texas state legislature. So not yet anyway.
It doesn't look like anything that's going to come up in the near future, huh?
Well,
No,
remember where
unfortunately
George Bush
not.
is from. George Bush is from Texas, and it's never going to happen as long as he's a president.
There's some moves in the state of Arkansas to have an Arkansas medical marijuana initiative, and we'll see if that comes to pass.
That would be nice. Is there any way we can just kick Bush out of here?
Well,
come
the
election
Congress
time.
can impeach him if we want the Congress to do that. Then, and I think it's a good idea. But
I think it's an awesome
we can. I don't think he really won in either one of the elections without some manipulation of the votes and the counts and the machines and all of that. I think he cheated his way in to start with, and that should be looked at, and he should be impeached for that alone, not to mention all the other lies and corruption and wars and things we have because of it. But we have the ballot box coming up. We've had a guest on this show who just threw his hat in the ring, Dennis Kucinich, a congressman from Ohio, who's appeared on this show a couple of times 3 years ago when he was running for president then. And he threw his hat in the ring as a candidate for the presidency again. And I think he'd be a good one. He'd have a Department of Peace to go along with the Department of Defense, and see a lot of positive changes, in my opinion.
Well, that would be nice, because it sure couldn't get any worse than it is now.
Well, unfortunately it could, but let's hope it doesn't.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much for your information.
Right.
Thank
for
you.
calling.
Thanks for calling. Let's see if we can, if they're ready to roll a tape in there. We have some old videotapes that we brought in, and I think we're going to roll some in just a minute, but not quite yet.
A lot of people don't remember that a lot of Bush family money is in pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, Eli Lilly, pharmaceuticals, and now, of course, petrochemicals.
So there won't be a marijuana law in Texas, I don't think, or in Florida either, where Jeb Bush is the governor for a long time.
Okay, we're going to roll the videotape. We'll be back in just a second. I hope you enjoy this. Here it is.
We now continue our look at Prohibition, 13 years that changed America, here on the History Channel.
With the mayor under Capone's thumb, Chicago was completely clutched in the fist of the mob. But one man from Chicago he could not buy was America's Vice President, Charles Dawes. He pleaded with the nation to face up to the consequences of Prohibition.
They have created a super government in Chicago which is levying tribute upon citizens and enforcing collection by terrorizing, kidnapping, and assassinations. These alien outlaws have become fabulously rich as rum runners and bootleggers, working in collusion with the police and other officials, openly defying the Constitution of the United States.
Capone's empire had proved to America that the 18th Amendment was impossible to enforce. From its very beginning, there had been opposition to Prohibition, but the voice of the Drive movement was so strong it hushed any murmurs against it. After 7 years, one of the whispers began to shout, the National Association Against the Prohibition Amendment. In 1927, they called a meeting in Washington. Some of America's most powerful men gathered, determined to break the law of Prohibition. No law in the Constitution has ever been removed. The only solution was to fight for a new amendment, one to repeal Prohibition.
It was utterly unthinkable that Prohibition would ever be repealed. 2/3 of the Congress had voted for Prohibition. Now 2/3 of the Congress would have to vote the other way. 44 states had voted for Prohibition. Now they would almost all have to reverse that decision. For politicians to announce that they had been wrong and to reverse their position was a very difficult thing for them to do.
But the men who steered the association could not be intimidated by federal power. They were wealthy, influential company bosses like Henry Bourne Joy of the Packard Motor Company, Charles H. Sabin of the Guaranty Trust Company, and the chairman, Pierre DuPont, president of General Motors. Before Prohibition, he had supported the move for a dry America and had donated large sums to the Anti-Saloon League. A sober workforce, he assumed, would be an efficient workforce. But for 7 years, DuPont had watched Capone doing business and suffering no penalties. DuPont paid the enforcement taxes heaped on America's industrialists. Now he changed face. Repeal was right. The association launched an aggressive propaganda campaign. Prohibition was unconstitutional. It had stimulated crime, lost liquor tax, and cost a fortune to enforce. But most American voters felt that they had prospered during Prohibition. In 1928, they voted in a Republican government for a third term, and a new president, Herbert Hoover, who backed Prohibition.
Our country has undertaken a great social and economic experiment, noble in motive and far-reaching in purpose. It must be worked out constructively.
But in calling it an experiment, even Hoover recognized that Prohibition might be temporary. Hoover set up a commission to investigate its progress.
I propose to appoint a national commission for a searching investigation of the whole structure of our federal system of jurisprudence, to include the method of enforcement of the 18th Amendment and the causes of abuse under it. Its purpose will be to make such recommendations for the reorganization of the administration of federal laws and court procedure as may be found desirable.
To target Capone, Hoover appointed a new Attorney General for Chicago. His name was George Johnson. He vowed to put Capone behind bars. His son remembers the size of the task.
All right, that was an excerpt from the History Channel reminding us of how alcohol prohibition eventually came to an end. But we see a lot of the same things today with marijuana prohibition, too. We have a phone call. Let's get that phone. Hello, caller, you're on the show.
How's it going?
Hello.
Real well. How are you?
Pretty good. I just had a quick question for you guys. How does someone go about getting their grower's license so they can grow for a friend that is on medical marijuana?
Well, the patient has to make the decision to name someone as their grower and or caregiver. Then the patient has to make a photocopy of that person's ID here in the state of Oregon. Then that has to be turned into the state. In Washington, they just have to come to some sort of agreement and get it notarized, and then the patient has to have a copy of that paperwork. And in Colorado and in Hawaii, the patient has to have the caregiver fill in information on the state form. Then that's turned into the state, and then the patient gets the card, and they give it to the grower and or caregiver.
But, can I Andrew Gordon is a fat-ass motherfucker.
Okay, well, we are a live show, and so we occasionally have crazy callers, and I don't know who the heck he's talking about, but someone he doesn't like, obviously. You know, we have a box of Hemp Plus granola here. It says it contains 600 milligrams of omega-3s per serving. Omega-3s are really good for you. I'm going to read from the back of this box. It says they contain up to 35% protein, which, unusual for a plant protein, contains all 9 essential amino acids. The seeds are also high in unsaturated fat, so-called good fat. Even better, these unsaturates are a good source of essential fatty acids. Between 15 to 25% of hemp's EFAs are alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. This is an omega-3 fatty acid often lacking in our diet. As a final bonus, hemp seeds contain a wide variety of minerals, phytoesterols, and phospholipids, such as lecithin, according to Tamara Schreier, MS.
And they taste good.
And it tastes good, too. So hemp seeds, you can get more and more of it in your health food store.
Yeah.
You have a joint here.
I do,
You got
Paul.
a
You know,
joint?
I went traveling.
Partially smoked joint?
Went
And an
traveling,
apple?
you know, and when you're traveling, you can't take your paraphernalia with you. I couldn't take my roach clip and my hemostats.
Uh-huh. I always carry my Volcano with me. They never bother me.
That's weird.
I carry it everywhere.
But
at the Hawaii airport, they always say, "Oh, you're the guy who always comes
You're
in."
the guy, yeah.
I am.
So anyway,
you've always got that Volcano.
We rolled a little. We rolled a little. We call it a crutch out of a matchbook, and that's works really good. You don't have to have any metal, and no pipe, because pipes are metal and pipes are paraphernalia. But this is just an apple. Can you get close up on my apple there? All right.
He wants to show you his apple.
See, we cut a hole in the apple, then we take the ballpoint pen. This is not new, believe me, folks. I learned this from somebody else.
I tried this back in the 70s.
Your ballpoint pen, you stick it in there and you make a pipe.
Works just fine. Paraphernalia apple.
Paraphernalia apple, and you call room service and they'll send you up a fruit basket with a couple more. And you don't have to take your paraphernalia. It's an apple.
That's right.
And when you're through with it, why
you can still eat it.
You can eat the rest of it.
Hey, we have another phone call. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Boy, isn't that tricky.
Yeah.
Apple pie. Okay. I'm a current medical marijuana patient with a condition that's never going to go away. Do you think there is ever going to be a time where we don't have to go to a doctor every single year to get requalified?
Yeah. Once it's legal, then we'll quit having to jump through those hoops and people just be able to grow their own without any problem. Right now, you know, the whole medical marijuana thing is like a get-out-of-jail card for sick people. If sick people can show they have a need for medical marijuana, then they can get a little, it's like paying your ransom. And so I often tell people, well, you know, one bust will pay for your medical marijuana card for 20, 30 years. Yep. And so I think, you know, especially for people like you who have a permanent condition, and that's actually the case with most people who have a medical marijuana card, that jumping through these hoops is a little ridiculous, but it's what we've got, and it's better than what we had before. Don't you agree?
I agree, but so you don't think it's going to change?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
I think it's going to change.
Is someone working on that change?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Oh, I've been working on it. You know, our organization donated $1,000 to the Colorado initiative to legalize marijuana, and it got 41.5% of the vote. We also donated $500 to the Nevada initiative that would have set up stores in the state of Nevada to sell ounces of marijuana to any adult over the age of 21, and it got 44.5% of the vote.
Wow.
So they're only 5.5% away from completely legalizing it there. I think it's going to happen very, very soon.
Okay.
I think, you know, we will see the end of adult marijuana prohibition sometime in the next 5 to 8 years.
Good. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. We have to work for it. You know, there's several stages we're going to go through. The first thing we've got to do is, through the federal Congress, push the states' rights for medical marijuana. Once we have that, then the whole federal conflict thing will be out of the way. And now we have the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, has been a backer of the states' rights to medical marijuana. As a congressman representing, or congresswoman, I should say, representing San Francisco. Of course, she had to take that position, but she strongly believed it. And so I think there's good hope for changes, especially when we dump the Bush administration. Yeah.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. You got something to say there tonight, Don?
Well, you know, like I told people, it's been a long time since I went on vacation. So I saved and I saved and I saved, and I went on one of those luxury love boat cruises.
Did you sail out of Honolulu?
Sailed out of Honolulu, sailed around the Hawaiian Islands, and the first time I've been on a boat that didn't have U.S. Navy written all over it, and it was nice to be treated like a human being instead of a dumbass swabby. But me, I'm an unusual fellow, and I'm always looking around for one of my peers, and I'm up on the swimming pool deck, and I don't see any. I spent most of my time sitting up in the hot tub, looking all cool with my shades and my long hair blowing in the tropical breeze. You know who goes on cruises, Paul? Pot-bellied, bald-headed, old white guys who should never, ever be seen in short pants anywhere.
Amen.
And they're accompanied by their wives, gray hair, tinted lavender, what's up with that? Looking an awful lot like a sack of #1 russet potatoes wearing a bathing suit. Now, of course, I exaggerate, of course, I stereotype, but you get the picture of the people who cruise. These are guys and gals who have success written all over their wallets and failure written all over their bodies. The success is measured by an American Express card sitting by the six-pack of Corona by the potbelly's feet. And it's an interesting study of the cosmos that puts us all together in the same hot tub on the same day, in the same latitude, in the same ship. But it's an excellent way for a person of my age to travel because they brought the scenery to me. All I had to do was open up the veranda on my balcony and get out there. I was able to see things I'd never seen before, too. The Big Island, Kona, Hilo, the fire coming out of the mountain and down into the sea. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, Paul.
Yeah, that's
you
been
don't know whether you're
for 27 years now.
You don't know whether you're seeing the bowels of hell coming out or whether you're watching creation, and I still don't know. But it's really an awesome sight. I can tell you one thing for sure, though: hell's not going to freeze over anytime soon. Which is why I was confused, because the TV Honolulu news channels kept talking about the Hawaiian ice problem. Well, because it's been 25 years since I was in Honolulu, and the ice problem, of course, is a methamphetamine epidemic, and they're talking about the theft of identification and all the drunk driving over there. They say that Honolulu has the third highest rate of drunk driving fatalities. There's nothing to do there but get drunk. They get drunk in paradise and they die. They are the third city. Guess which city is the first drunk driving fatalities? It's Washington, D.C. Does that surprise anybody? If you've been in Honolulu before, you know where the Ala Moana Park is. Located is across the street from the Palace of Opulence, the Ala Moana Shopping Center, which is a super Lloyd Center, a super Washington Square.
The shopping center
of the Pacific. Yes, it is. And right across there is the park. And the Ala Moana Park is so full of homeless people, it looks like our version of Dignity Village. So you have this opulence, you have this homelessness, and you have the ocean right there with all the million-dollar yachts. This homelessness is crazy in Honolulu. But I suppose it's better to be homeless in the tropics than it is to be homeless anywhere else. And I don't want to be too depressing, because I don't want anybody to think I didn't have a good time, because I had a blast. The real luxury of being on a luxury cruise, I discovered, was not what I bought, but what I brought with me. The ability to not answer the telephone, that's a luxury. The luxury of sleeping all day long. People who have hepatitis never get enough rest. So I was able to sleep, and that was a luxury. Another luxury for me was not answering the telephone, not watching my email. When I come back, I had 62 emails, and I didn't even care. And the best luxury of all, not having to wear shoes. That's the way I see it tonight, right down here on Hemp Street.
All right, thank you, Don. So we are taking your phone calls tonight, so if you have a question for us, gee, we got about 10 minutes left here, so you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And I see the fingers in the control room saying, oh, it's really 9. 9 minutes.
I just bit my pipe.
Uh-oh, you're eating your pipe. I don't know what to say. Well, I want to remind our viewers and medical marijuana patients out there in the Portland area that tomorrow, Oregon Normal will have the medical cannabis get-together where patients can trade strains, get some excess cannabis if they're out, get some cuttings. It's the once-a-month meeting for Oregon Normal members, and you can actually join at the door if you're not a member, I believe, and go to the once-a-month medical card holder meeting. You have to have a medical marijuana ID card and either be a member or join at the door for Oregon Normal. Now, that's at the corner of Southeast 49th and Hawthorne at the Mount Tabor Theater, Sabala's Mount Tabor Theater. So you can go to that if you are a medical card holder. We want to thank Madeline Martinez, Russ Balville, David Bram, and all the folks at Oregon Normal, like Holly, who helps us too and helps a lot of different things. And the other folks for a great Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards last week. We had a real good time at the 5th Medical Cannabis Awards. I got to win my first little ribbons here, and I'm quite proud. We're going to put these up on the wall at the office of the THCF down there at 105 Southeast 18th Street. So if you want to come by and take a look at that, we'll have them up there sometime next week. There you have it. So, Don, is that it? That you're eating your pipe? I mean, you could have waited for that. It's hard to talk with your mouth full. That's the one thing.
I had a lot of fun. It's fun fooling the inspectors.
Like I said, when I go to Hawaii, which I have to go there 6 to 8 times a year because we have an office there and clinic to help patients get medical marijuana. The folks at the security checkpoint know me. They go, "What happened to the box to your volcano?" They went, "Oh, I wore it out carrying it so much, so now I have a separate little bag for it."
They make you take off your shoes?
Oh yeah. Everybody has to take off their shoes and go through the rigmarole. You can't carry liquids now.
Yeah.
I won a bottle of wine on the way out, so I was able to leave the on this flight. You guess the time. You get halfway across the ocean, and they give you a prize. So I won a bottle of wine. I carried out a big bottle of liquid, but couldn't have carried it aboard the plane. That's another story. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Well, greetings. This is Brother Johnson.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Johnson?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I can't seem to get in contact with my caregiver. What should I do?
I think you should give him a call and, just, I can't really answer that on the air.
Oh.
Okay. So we'd like to take another caller if we have another one out there. And if you have a question for us, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. So we might take another caller, we might not.
I was talking to one of our patients in Honolulu on the phone the other day, and they said that since they have done so much suppression about the marijuana, is what created the methamphetamine problem.
Sure, yeah.
And now they're suppressing the methamphetamine
in
so
every
much.
place where you see a breakout of cocaine or heroin. If they had marijuana, they wouldn't be using those other
And he
drugs
says now
in a lot
that
of
they're
cases.
suppressing the methamphetamine, the cocaine is coming back. So they need to realize that people are going to get high on something. And marijuana is certainly, they need to stop repressing the marijuana, especially in the land of the Kona Valley.
Yeah. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Hello.
Pretty well. How are you?
Good. Hey, a couple quick questions. I know I've had clones in the past and given them to some of your different caregivers and wondering if you were back to a point where you can accept them yet at the clinic?
Well, what we've done is when Rach had that ruling, the clinics decided not to carry it there directly because there's a doctor there working and it has to be kept separate from the doctor. So when the Supreme Court made the Rach decision back in June of 2005, our clinics stopped taking in donations and giving out donations of clones. However, there is this monthly Oregon Normal meeting, and we're trying to steer all of the folks who want to donate those to that meeting. There are a lot of people out there that need those. And also there's our patient forums that we have on our website, where patients can hook up with patients themselves and give away excess cuttings. If they want, they can give away excess medicine. So I recommend that you either go to this Oregon Normal meeting tomorrow you have to be there no later than noon. They close the doors at noon, and it gets pretty crowded in there. But it's a lot of fun, too. And so that's at the corner of 49th and Hawthorne. Or if you want to get into our forums and help patients directly, you can do it that way as well.
What I've done in the past is I know you guys have some caregivers that take care of a lot of people, and through the clinic I've been hooked up with them and given them clones in the past, and I knew there was some talk about being able to, at some point, to be able to do it through the clinic again. I've given some to Don in the past. I don't know if he remembers it, but this summer I gave him some. One of them was a strain called Cinderella 88, and another one was an unknown strain I had, and unfortunately I lost them all this summer, so I never knew how the unknown strain came out, and I was wondering if he grew those out and what he thought about them.
I did grow them out, and they're wonderful, and they're still around somewhere, although I'm not sure I still have them.
Good, because I passed on some of those at one point, and they didn't carry on from the fellow I gave them to, and like I said, I lost everything this summer when things got too hot. But okay, I was curious if you were taking them back at the clinic yet, or if
we aren't taking them in and giving them out at the clinic anymore. But what we are doing, like I said, is both steering people to this once-a-month Oregon Normal meeting, and we've set up these private forums for patients, caregivers only.
I'll have to check into that one.
And just contact our office. You can get the password to get into that, and then you can help patients directly.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for your call. Well, we're about out of time here. We're going to go out with Tim singing a song and some pictures from the THCF Medical Garden. Is there anything you want to say in closing here tonight, Don?
You think that bud will fit in my apple here?
I think it's too big for your apple. But, you know, we've got a vaporizer that we're going to put to use here shortly. And so we'll have to try that there.
I'm sorry, I'm having too much fun.
I guess so. Well, I want to thank our viewers out there. Tune in next week. We're going to go out with the great Tim Pate here singing a song accompanied by a few video shots from the THCF Medical Garden. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. There's the address and information for that meeting tomorrow for Oregon patients. Remember to help us restore hemp. Good night.
There you go. Good night, Ramona, my little cruise mate.
Thanks for watching.